The morning began like any other in Emily's quiet suburban home in Portland. The sky was gray with a soft drizzle tapping the window pane. She stood in front of her mirror, her robe loosely tied, her mind far away. Life had been strangely heavy since her husband Richard left for a long business project in Chicago 3 weeks ago. The house felt too silent, and every corner reminded her of how much she missed him. Her stepson, Kason, had come home from college a few days earlier. He was 22, studying architecture in Seattle, and had decided to spend a week visiting his father and stepmother before summer classes resumed. Emily had always admired his quiet nature and kindness. He wasn't her son by blood, but she had helped raise him since he was 10. Over the years, their bond had grown into something warm and natural, filled with mutual respect. That morning, Emily had overslept. She was supposed to leave early to meet a client for her interior design business. She was rushing through her usual morning routine, mind cluttered with checklists and half-formed thoughts. The rain outside only added to her hurried mood. She didn't hear Jason coming down the hallway. He had woken up early looking for coffee, still half asleep himself. As Emily reached to grab her blouse from the dresser, the door suddenly opened. "Emily, have you seen Jason?" Stopped mid-sentence, his voice catching in surprise. Emily froze. The robe slipped slightly from her shoulder, and for a moment neither spoke. It wasn't anything inappropriate, just one of those awkward human moments that happen too fast to control. Jason immediately turned away, his face red. "Oh, sorry, I didn't," he stammered. Stepping back quickly and closing the door behind him, Emily's heart raced, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. She quickly tied her robe tighter and took a deep breath. It was nothing, she told herself. Just a misunderstanding. But still, she couldn't shake off the awkwardness. A few minutes later, she stepped into the kitchen, trying to act normal. Jason was there, making coffee, pretending to scroll through his phone. When their eyes met, they both smiled faintly, like two people silently agreeing to erase an uncomfortable moment. "I should have knocked," Jason said softly, looking genuinely apologetic. "It's okay," Emily replied quickly, brushing it off. "My fault for not locking the door." But despite the easy words, the air felt different. Something unspoken lingered, an awareness neither wanted but couldn't quite ignore. The rest of the morning passed quietly. Emily left for her client meeting, trying to focus on her work. Yet she found her mind drifting back to that small moment again and again. It wasn't the incident itself that unsettled her, it was how fragile everything suddenly felt. The boundaries of family, trust, and comfort all seemed to thin, easily crossed by accident. When she returned home that afternoon, Jason was outside fixing the mailbox that had tilted after a storm. She watched him from the porch for a moment, his focus, his steady hands, his calm maturity. He had grown into a man, not the shy teenager she used to remind to eat his breakfast before school. That realization made her feel both proud and nostalgic. "Need help?" she asked, stepping closer. He smiled over his shoulder. "Got it. Just needed to tighten this bolt." They talked lightly for a few minutes about his classes, his projects, and her design clients. Slowly, the morning tension faded, replaced by their usual friendly warmth. Later that evening, as they sat in the living room watching a documentary, Emily noticed Jason glancing at the family photos on the shelf. One picture was from a summer trip years ago, returned Emily, and Jason smiling by a lake. "You remember that?" she asked softly. Jason nodded. "Yeah, Dad spent an hour trying to light that barbecue. You ended up doing it instead." Emily laughed. He was never great at those things. Jason smiled. "You held everything together back then? You still do." The sincerity in his tone caught her off guard. She smiled back, touched but unsure how to respond. "Thanks, Jason. That means a lot." The rain had started again outside, soft and steady. For a while, they sat in comfortable silence, listening to the sound of it against the windows. There was no awkwardness left, just quiet understanding between two people sharing a moment of warmth in an empty house. But deep down, Emily couldn't deny the strange pull she felt that night. It wasn't attraction. It was something different. It was the sudden awareness of time, how quickly it passes, how people grow, how connections shift and evolve. She missed Richard more than ever. But she also realized how lonely she had become in his absence. The next day, Emily decided to make breakfast early. She wanted to reset the energy in the house to replace that morning's awkwardness with something lighter. Jason joined her, and soon the kitchen filled with the smell of pancakes and coffee. They laughed about silly things like how she always burned the first pancake, or how Jason couldn't flip one properly. By mid-morning, it felt like everything was back to normal. The comfort returned. The small, unspoken distance between them had disappeared. Later, Jason went out to meet a friend, and Emily sat by the window with her sketch pad, designing a new project for a client. The light filtering through the gray sky made everything look softer. She thought about how icy misunderstandings could twist ordinary moments into something else if one wasn't careful. That evening, Richard called. His voice over the phone was warm, tired, and full of longing. "I miss you," he said. "I miss you too." Emily whispered. He told her about his project, the meetings, the late nights. She told him about the house, Jason's visit, and their little morning mix-up. Richard laughed gently. "Poor Jason. I bet he was mortified." Emily smiled. "He was, but he's doing well. You should be proud." "I am," Richard said softly. "You've been good to him. Better than anyone could have been." That night, Emily lay awake longer than usual. She thought about family, loyalty, and love, the different kinds of love that exist, how they evolve and adapt with time. She knew what she valued most wasn't excitement or novelty, was connection, trust, and the small, honest moments that build a life. The incident that morning could have been embarrassing, maybe even uncomfortable, but instead it had reminded her of something deeper, that the people around us, even when they surprise us, are all just trying to navigate their own paths. 2. When she woke the next day, the rain had stopped. The air smelled fresh, and the light coming through the curtains felt new. Like a quiet apology from the universe, she found Jason sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, reading a book. He looked up and smiled. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she replied with a warm grin. "Ready to start fresh?" "Definitely," he said with a nod. And they did. That day, they spent time repainting the porch together, laughing and teasing each other like old times. The awkwardness had vanished completely, replaced by something even stronger. Deeper sense of respect and understanding. Emily realized that family wasn't just about shared blood. It was about patience, forgiveness, and learning to see each other as whole, flawed, growing people. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges, she looked at Jason and thought, this is what love really looks like. Not perfect, but real. The next morning, Emily woke to the gentle sound of birds outside her window. The sunlight peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the bedroom. She stretched and felt a sense of calm, a rare feeling since Richard had left for Chicago. The house no longer seemed as empty as before. Jason's presence, even though temporary, brought life back to the rooms she had grown used to wandering alone. Jason, as usual, had risen early. Emily heard the faint clatter of dishes and the hum of the coffee maker from the kitchen. She dressed quickly, choosing something comfortable but neat. Today was Saturday, and she wanted to spend it productively. The design project she had started for her client awaited, and she had promised herself she would make progress by the time she entered the kitchen. Jason was already preparing breakfast. He had the kind of quiet focus that made even small, mundane tasks seem purposeful. Emily smiled at the sight. There was something grounding about the way he moved through the space, a rhythm that reminded her of the early mornings she and Richard used to share when the children were younger. "Morning," Jason said, glancing up from the frying pan. "Pancakes, okay?" "Perfect," Emily replied, pulling out a chair. "I'm glad you're here this week. The house feels different when you're around." Jason smiled briefly but looked thoughtful. "I didn't mean to embarrass you yesterday," he said, referring to the awkward morning. "It was an accident." Emily shook her head. "Really? It's fine. These things happen." Don't worry about it. But Jason hesitated. He had always been unusually perceptive, noticing moods and emotions that others often missed. He knew there was more behind her calm exterior. Emily felt a small flutter of nervousness. It wasn't discomfort, just the awareness that he cared enough to notice. Breakfast passed with light conversation. They spoke about classes, plans for the summer, and Emily's design work. The rhythm of normalcy returned, but Emily noticed how her mind kept drifting to the morning incident. She wondered if she was overthinking, yet she couldn't help the curious tension that lingered whenever she looked at him. After breakfast, Emily decided to step outside to water the garden. The rain had left the plants sparkling, and the air was fresh and inviting. Jason followed her, helping carry the watering cans and tools. They worked in silence for a few minutes, letting the soft sounds of nature fill the spaces between words. Finally, Jason broke the quiet. "You've done a lot with this place," he said. "It feels alive, even when Dad is away. You make it feel like home." Emily paused, touched by the remark. "Thank you, Jason. That means a lot. I try to keep things balanced, I guess." He nodded, as if understanding more than what was said. There was a weight behind his gaze, a hint of introspection that reminded Emily of her own late-night thoughts. She realized that despite the age difference, they both carried a similar burden, a longing for connection and understanding in moments of solitude. The afternoon passed quickly. Emily returned to her design project, sketching layouts and color schemes while Jason worked quietly nearby on his own laptop. Occasionally, he glanced at her sketches, offering small suggestions or compliments. There was a gentle camaraderie that had developed, a rhythm of unspoken understanding. As evening approached, Emily set the table for dinner. She wanted it to be simple but comforting: roasted vegetables, pasta, and a fresh salad. Jason offered to help, and soon they were moving in sync, chopping, stirring, and laughing at minor mistakes. The laughter felt like a balm, a reminder that ordinary moments could carry extraordinary meaning when shared with someone who genuinely cared. Dinner was calm but intimate. The rain had returned, tapping gently against the windows as twilight fell. They ate quietly, the occasional clink of cutlery punctuating the peaceful atmosphere. Emily felt a warmth she hadn't realized she was missing, a combination of companionship, trust, and shared history. After dinner, Jason cleared the dishes, and Emily found herself sitting in the living room with a cup of tea. The room was softly lit, shadows dancing across the walls. Jason joined her on the couch, leaning back with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking," he said finally, "about how much has changed in the past few years. Dad, you, me, everything feels different sometimes. But I'm glad for this week. I feel like I understand things better now." Emily's heart swelled with emotion. She reached out, touching his hand gently, not inappropriately, but in a comforting gesture. "I feel the same way, Jason. Life changes, people grow, and sometimes we just need time to reconnect." He nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. The tension of the previous day's awkwardness had completely melted away, replaced by mutual respect and care. Emily realized that moments like these, ordinary and quiet, often carried more weight than the dramatic ones we remember. Later, Emily went to her bedroom to prepare for bed. She paused by the window, looking out at the rain-soaked garden. Her thoughts drifted to Richard. She missed him, of course, but she also felt a new appreciation for Jason's presence. He wasn't replacing her husband, he was a part of the family, a bridge between past and present. Jason knocked softly at the door before heading to his room. "Good night, Emily," he said. "Good night, Jason," she replied, smiling. As the house settled into quiet for the night, Emily reflected on the events of the day. The awkwardness of the morning had given way to something much more meaningful. She understood that relationships, even within families, required patience, honesty, and the willingness to see each other as complete people. Misunderstandings happen, but they can also open the door to deeper connection. She thought about trust, how it could be strengthened or weakened in moments of accident or surprise. She realized that her stepson's respect and care were gifts, reminders that love comes in many forms. There was the love she had for Richard, the love she felt for her family, and the quiet, steady affection that grew from understanding and empathy. That night, Emily slept with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in weeks. The morning's mishap had turned into an unexpected lesson. Life was fragile, people were complex, and moments of discomfort could become opportunities for growth. The next day, she woke early again, ready to continue her work and enjoy the last days of Jason's visit. The house felt alive, not just because of activity, but because of the emotional bonds that had quietly strengthened. She realized that true connection didn't always come from grand gestures. It often came from shared routines, gentle understanding, and the ability to navigate awkward moments with grace. Emily knew that the week ahead would be filled with small surprises, quiet lessons, and moments that tested patience and empathy. But she also knew that she and Jason had crossed an invisible threshold, one of trust, mutual respect, and deep familial care. The rest of the week promised more laughter, more shared memories, and, inevitably, more challenges. Yet Emily felt ready to face whatever came next with an open heart and the knowledge that relationships, when nurtured with honesty and love, could withstand the smallest accidents and the quietest storms. The last days of Jason's visit arrived faster than Emily expected. The house, which had felt quiet and somewhat empty for weeks, now buzzed with activity and laughter. Mornings began with shared breakfasts, small routines, and playful debates over who made the best pancakes. Emily had come to realize that even small gestures, pouring coffee, preparing breakfast, or tidying up, carried weight when shared with someone who genuinely cared. That Saturday morning, Emily decided to take Jason to the nearby park. The rain had stopped overnight, leaving the streets wet and glistening in the early sun. She loved the smell of fresh earth mixed with lingering rain. Jason walked beside her, hands in his pockets, and they talked casually about college, his plans after graduation, and her upcoming design project. "You know," Jason said suddenly, "I didn't realize how much these small moments matter. It's easy to forget them when life is so busy." Emily smiled, touched by his reflection. Exactly. That's what makes a home feel like home, not just the walls, but the people who fill it. As they walked, they came across a small bench overlooking a pond. Ducks floated lazily on the water, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. They sat together in silence for a few moments, letting the calm of the environment seep into their thoughts. Emily reflected on the past few days, the morning that had started with awkward tension, the slow rebuilding of comfort and trust, and the growing realization of what mattered most in family relationships: patience, understanding, and empathy. Jason broke the silence. "I've been meaning to say something. Yesterday, after dinner, when we were sitting here, I realized how lucky I am. Not because of anything big, but because I have people I can trust, people who care." Emily felt a lump in her throat. She placed a hand on his shoulder gently. "I feel the same way, Jason. Life throws a lot at us, but moments like these remind us what's important." The day passed in simple joys, visiting the local farmers market, helping Emily pick out fresh flowers for the kitchen, and later preparing a light dinner together. Emily noticed the subtle changes in Jason: more relaxed, more open, and willing to share his thoughts. She realized that the awkward morning was now a distant memory, replaced by genuine closeness and understanding. That evening, after they had cleared the table and were settling into the living room with cups of tea, Emily received a call from Richard. He was still in Chicago finishing his project, but he wanted to hear about Jason's visit. "Hey," Richard said warmly. "How are things over there?" Emily laughed softly. "Busy, but good. Jason's been wonderful, keeping me company and helping with everything. The house feels alive again." "It's great to hear," Richard replied. "I'm proud of both of you. I know I'm away a lot, but it means a lot knowing you're managing well." They spoke for a few more minutes, discussing minor details about the house, family plans, and upcoming events. Emily hung up, feeling a mixture of contentment and longing, happy for Jason's visit, yet missing her husband's presence later. As Jason prepared to return to his room for the night, Emily decided to have a candid conversation with him. She wanted to address the growing understanding between them openly. Jason, she began softly, I just want you to know. The morning a few days ago when the door opened unexpectedly, it was awkward. Yes, but it's also been a reminder of how strong our family bond is. Life doesn't always go perfectly, and mistakes happen. But what matters is how we handle them and grow from them. Jason nodded, understanding clear in his eyes. I know, Emily. I appreciate you saying that. I've learned a lot this week about patience, about trust, and about how to treat people with respect. You've taught me more than you realize. Emily felt a sense of warmth spread through her. The tension that had existed at the start of the week was gone, replaced by mutual respect and care. She realized that family was not always defined by rules or roles, but by the way people treated each other, especially in moments of discomfort or challenge. The following morning, Jason packed his bag for the return trip to Seattle. The house felt quieter again, but this time Emily wasn't anxious. She had witnessed growth, learning, and connection over the past few days. She and Jason hugged at the door, a simple but profound gesture of gratitude and love. Thank you for everything, Emily, Jason said, his voice earnest. I'll miss this week. I'll miss you too, Jason, Emily replied, her voice soft but steady. Travel safe, and remember, it's the small things that matter most. He smiled, nodded, and stepped into the car. Emily watched him drive away, feeling a mixture of sadness and pride. She knew that this week had strengthened not only their bond, but also her understanding of what it meant to nurture relationships with care and respect. After Jason left, Emily took a long walk around the neighborhood, reflecting on the events of the week. The awkward incident, which could have caused tension or discomfort, had instead become a catalyst for growth. She realized that life often gave people lessons wrapped in small, unexpected moments. What mattered most was the choice to respond with understanding and empathy. That evening, Richard returned from Chicago. His arrival brought warmth and familiarity back into the house. Emily greeted him at the door, feeling the relief of having her partner back. They embraced, and she felt a sense of completion. The week with Jason had been meaningful, but it also reminded her of the foundation she had with her husband, love built on trust, honesty, and shared experiences. During dinner, Emily shared small stories from Jason's visit, his observations, humor, and the ways he had helped around the house. Richard listened, smiling, proud of the young man Jason had become and grateful for Emily's guidance and care. Later, as they sat together on the couch, Emily reflected on the lessons of the past week. She realized that life's challenges were often subtle. The morning incident with Jason had seemed trivial at first, yet it had opened doors to understanding, patience, and deeper familial love. Emily turned to Richard, a gentle smile on her face. This week has been enlightening. Jason and I grew closer, and I think I understand a little more about the importance of being present, even in small moments. Richard nodded, taking her hand. I know, I could tell. You handled everything with grace. That's one of the many reasons I love you. They shared a quiet evening together, reflecting on family, trust, and the delicate balance of relationships. Emily knew that life would continue to present challenges, misunderstandings, and awkward moments. But she also knew that with patience, empathy, and honesty, those moments could become opportunities for growth and connection rather than discomfort or tension. By the end of the night, Emily felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. The house was quiet, not empty. The bonds of family had been strengthened through understanding, care, and shared experiences. What had begun as an awkward moment had transformed into a powerful lesson that love, respect, and trust, especially within families, could grow, even through small missteps and unexpected incidents. As Emily turned off the lights and prepared for bed, she reflected on the week's events with gratitude. She understood that life was not about perfection, but about learning, connecting, and valuing the people around her. She knew that Jason's visit would be a memory they both carried with warmth, and that their bond had grown in ways words alone could not fully capture. Looking out at the night sky from her bedroom window, Emily whispered a quiet thought to herself. Family is about understanding, patience, and love. And sometimes the smallest, most unexpected moments teach us the most. With that thought, she finally rested, ready to embrace the future with a heart open to connection, growth, and the unexpected lessons life always had to offer.